The neighbour. Behind the curtain. I moved into this apartment at the end of October. The neighbourhood was quiet, almost too quiet. Typical Soviet-style 9-story buildings, rustling leaves, occasional footsteps in the stairwell. The building was old but in good condition. Most importantly, the neighbours weren't noisy. The first thing I noticed was the apartment across the hall. The curtains in the window were always the same. Thick, grey, a little burnt around the edges. And the light inside, it was always on, dim and yellow, like from an old lamp, even during the day. At first, I didn't think much of it. Some people work from home, others are reclusive. But on the third night, I noticed something strange. I was washing dishes in the kitchen when I suddenly felt watched. My kitchen window faced the one across the way. I looked up and froze. There was a person standing in the window, or rather, a dark silhouette, completely still, almost blending in with the curtain. I could only make out the outline of a head and shoulders. He didn't move, but I knew he was staring right at me. The next day, I ran into Valia, an old woman from the 6th floor. "Who lives in apartment 48? I asked, trying to sound casual. She frowned. "No one, sweetie. A man used to live there, alone. He died. That was 5 years ago. It's been empty since. But there's a light on. Are you sure? Maybe you're seeing a reflection or something from the floor below." I wanted to argue, but I held back. Better to check for myself first. That night, I didn't sleep. I turned off all the lights in my apartment, sat in the dark kitchen, and just watched that window. The light inside was on, as always. Then, he appeared again, the silhouette in the window. At first faint, then clearer, motionless, just standing there. I couldn't see his face, but he was there. I took a photo with my phone, but in the picture, it was just a lit window and curtain, the silhouette barely visible. On the 4th day, I gathered my courage. I went up 1 floor, then came back down to apartment 48's door. Old, dark brown, dusty, no number plate. But there were footprints on the mat, like someone had recently entered or exited. I knocked. Nothing. Waited a little, then left. The next night I came home late. Walking up the stairs, I glanced at the door again, and my heart dropped. The door was slightly open. I froze, listened. Silence. I wasn't planning to go inside, just to check that everything was all right. I stepped closer and peeked through the crack. No light. Just the musty smell of old fabric, dampness, and something decaying. Then, a soft shuffle, like someone moving in the hallway. I bolted and ran back to my place. I couldn't sleep that night. I kept thinking of possibilities. Maybe a squatter. Maybe the owner never actually died. The next morning, I ran into Valia again. I told her about the open door. "Sweetheart, don't be silly," she said. "I've lived on this landing for 40 years. No one's lived there in ages. Ask the janitor if you don't believe me." I did. He shrugged. "Apartment 48? No one's registered there. No keys either. It was boarded up. Are you sure the door was open?" I showed him the photo I took the day before. The door ajar. He frowned. "That's strange." I had one more idea. I set up a small camera in front of my apartment door, pointing at the neighbours. The recording started at 10 p.m. In the morning, I reviewed the footage. Hours of nothing. Then, around 3 a.m., movement. Apartment 48's door slowly, eerily creaked open. Someone stepped out. Tall, thin, face hidden under a hood. He stood directly across from my door, stared into the camera, then stepped closer, close up. He smiled, and then leaned in, like whispering into the lens. I didn't play the sound. I couldn't. I called the police. They came, checked the apartment, found no one, said it was empty, No furniture, no signs of life, just an old mattress and an unplugged lamp. They took the camera for analysis. 2 days later, they called. There's nothing on the footage, just an empty hallway. Door never opened. Everything's normal. I don't believe them, because that night when I watched the footage, I heard a voice outside my door. It whispered, "I know you're watching. Under the door." After the police left, I tried to convince myself it was all in my head. Maybe stress. Maybe the footage was corrupted. Cheap camera. But the feeling of being watched wouldn't go away. I became afraid of coming home late. I kept my curtains shut. I stopped turning on hallway lights. I listened to every creak of the elevator. And still, I knew someone was watching me. On the 4th day after the police visit, I found a note under my door. Plain white paper, folded. No name, no handwriting, nothing. Inside, a short message. Curtains won't help. I see through walls. I froze. At first, I wanted to throw it away, but I took a picture and went to the police again. They recorded my statement, promised more patrols. No hallway cameras, of course. The building was too old. That night, I left all the lights on, even in the bathroom. At 3:45 a.m., someone rang the doorbell. One short ring. I stood still. No footsteps, no sounds, just the bell and silence. Then, scratching, like a nail dragging across the wood, slowly, rhythmically, almost gently. I grabbed a kitchen knife, stood by the door until morning. When I finally opened it, no one was there. But on the wood, scratch marks. 3 clear grooves, as if made by fingernails. And on the floor, another note. You sleep while I'm near. I moved out the next day. Didn't wait for things to get worse. Found temporary shelter with a friend. Took a week off work. Everyone laughed it off. You imagined it. Just loneliness. Maybe. I tried to believe that too. But 3 days later, my friend found a note in her mailbox. You shouldn't have left. I'm still close. I went back to the police. They were skeptical now. Maybe it was an ex? A stalker? I explained. No one knew where I was. No one except him. And I didn't even know who he was. They sent a psychologist. Diagnosis: acute anxiety disorder, possibly with paranoid features. No one listened. After a week, I found a new place. Far away. Different neighborhood, gated courtyard, security cameras, everything perfect. I finally felt safe. Until one morning. I woke up feeling like I was being watched. Checked the door, locked. Checked the windows, secure. But on the windowsill, between the panes, a small folded papier. You're still across from me, and you still can't see me. I changed my name, my number, my job. It's been 6 months. I live quietly. I don't go out at night. I don't look out windows. I don't tell anyone where I live. But sometimes, lying in bed, I feel something shift in the darkness, a curtain moving, ever so slightly, as if someone's there, as if someone has always been there, just standing, waiting for me to look again.